Welcome to Resiliency Redefined. I'm your host, Robyne, and I am thrilled to share with you information about resiliency, well-being, performance, education, business, parenting, and everything in between. I'm committed to joining you each week to talk about these big ideas and bring them into action, habits, tools, strategies, tactics that allow us to finally uncover what it takes to truly be well. And I'm just so excited that you're here. So this episode to record was a treat. I had the opportunity to welcome Marissa Teeter. That's the host of Teeter Talks. Like, this woman is so recognized in her field for expertise. She has been nominated for a whole bunch of awards, been recognized by her peers for the excellence that she has been able to do within her own practice and her own pursuits in entrepreneurship. And today's episode, Marissa and I dive into what it takes to bet on yourself, especially when you are in a relatively established position and you take that big chance of swinging and trying something new, and the practice of reinvention and what that means, especially for women in different industries. So I'm so glad you're here to hear this episode with Marissa, because she is a wealth of information and knowledge that she wants to share with each and every one of you. So I am thrilled that we get to, Marissa, keep this conversation going. So for folks who haven't met my newest guest, my latest guest, Marissa Teeter's here, and I had the opportunity to be a guest on Teeter Talks. That was this past summer, and as soon as we were done, I'm like, I want to keep talking with you. So thank you so much for being here today, so we can keep the conversation going.
Well, thank you so much for having me. The feeling is mutual. As we were recording part one for my podcast, I was already planning part two. So I will have you back at some point. And for what it's worth, I got so much wonderful feedback on our episode. I mean, we were just talking about you today with a mutual friend. Your ears might've been burning, but you just deliver so much value, so many wonderful nuggets in such a short period of time that I could listen to you do the same talk multiple times and pull out probably different bits of information every time. And, sometimes speakers don't always give it away in terms of the action items and the nuggets and, okay, this was a great talk, but what does this mean for me? What can I do today? What can I start tomorrow? You're so good at that. So I know people have said, I listened to the episode multiple times and got lots of stuff out of it. So no pressure on me today, but I'm going to try to deliver some good nuggets that hopefully people will want to listen to this episode multiple times too.
Oh, well, Marissa, that feedback coming from you means so much to me. I have the utmost respect for you and your career and your delivery and all of the lives you inspire and touch. So thank you so very much for that. And above all else, my goal in all of this is to be useful. And you also are someone I would put in that camp of being really useful, that the information is practical. And so I'm excited for our listeners to get some exposure to some of your big and beautiful ideas as well. So for folks who again, I let folks know you have a podcast, but that is just one of the many different ways that you do such beautiful work. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you do and the groups that you get to work with?
Sure. I am so fortunate to be in a new space in my career. So for the last year and a half, I've been on my own, running my own executive coaching firm. And it's been such a multifaceted journey for me. The podcast has been one way for me to get my voice out there and selfishly to talk to amazing people like you. So people always ask me, do you make money off your podcast? How many listeners do you have? How many? And I'm like, yeah, it's a wonderful thing, but I have so much fun doing it that I would do it for free and I would do it if nobody listened. So the podcast has been a great, Teeter Talks has been a great part of that journey. I also do executive coaching, business coaching with, some really impressive individuals, be it high performers in various capacities, Olympic athletes I work with, executives, CEOs, business owners. These are just people who are doing great work, who just want to do better and be better and take everyone along with them. And so I do a lot of coaching in that regard. I do some consulting as well. It's nice to be able to put my 20 plus years of wealth management and business development and executive leadership to work as well too, to solve some real problems. So I really love doing that. And the one amazing thing that has come out of this, which is one of those things, I love to do throughout my corporate career, but didn't really realize I can make a living doing
Mhm.
it post corporate life, was getting on stages.
Yeah.
And I moderate big events and big conversations, and I give talks, I do keynotes. So that has been just such a wonderful side effect of kind of going out on my own and working with amazing people.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I love that recap. You did that beautifully. Thank you for sharing. And again, that was actually one of the ways that our paths cross, where
Mhm.
you were just this dynamic MC at an event that I felt so
Thank you.
fortunate to be part of. And I love when you come across people where you're just like, I want to talk with them. So I echo your sentiment about the podcast being just such an amazing avenue and platform for us to be able to engage in conversation. So yeah, I think that's so beautiful. And one of the areas again, I sometimes I kind of, this might be a bit peculiar, but like when I first meet someone, right? Like, as you know, we always have these kind of like first impressions.
Mhm.
And the first impression I had when I met you, obviously, it's like, this is a woman who knows what she's doing. Like, this is a woman, like your confidence and your agency and your capacity and your authenticity was just like front and center. I loved it.
Mm.
And one of the things that I just felt that you did when I had a chance to hear you speak and share is it felt like you gave so many women in that room a permission slip that we were allowed to be successful. And
Mm.
it was just this, again, it was this transformational experience for me sitting there looking at the people around me who here this woman was who, again, amazing amount of expertise in your field, building these beautiful careers. And it was like you let everyone know it's okay to be successful. And if you could just share a wee bit about that or some of, just some of those areas, because I'm sure in the work that you do, again, with such high performers, you see success. And I think sometimes there could be a bit of a gender issue with women holding space and being in their success. And you just let all of us in there know in that room that day that that's your big, bright future and take it. And I loved it.
Well, thank you. That's such a beautiful compliment. The theme of that event that you and I were at was betting on yourself,
Yeah.
and I think there is more of that needs to happen, especially amongst women. Right? We're so willing to bet on others. Like we will
Yes.
get behind a cause and a person,
Yeah.
sometimes even strangers, because we're
Mhm.
just so bought in and we believe and we're so convinced. And sometimes it's nice to pour into ourselves the way we pour into others, and ultimately that gives us more to pour into others at the end of the day when we do that. The irony. Success is this funny thing. It's this thing that I've had to wrestle with kind of throughout my life. I think my definition of success has changed throughout my
Mhm.
career. I think once upon a time it was titles, it was salary, it was
Of course.
money, it was possession. Like I think it just kind of evolved, and I think I've gotten to a point in my life now, and who knows if it will evolve again.
Yeah.
But to me today, it's choice. I want to be able to choose what I want. And the luxury of choice is huge. I tell people all the time, it's one thing to be able to choose or have the freedom to choose. It's another thing to have the capacity to do it as well. So sometimes people have choices but just aren't able to follow through. It's
Mhm.
scary, it's the unknown, it seems insane. Like going from the corporate world to running
Yeah.
my own business. Like there are people in my life that thought I was nuts. Like, what do you,
Of
what do you
course.
mean? Like, you've worked so hard to claw your way to the
Yeah.
top. You're one of the very few executives
Yes.
who are females in a very male dominant industry. Where are you going? What are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, you made it. And, so I think success, people sometimes cling to an old version of it. I think it's
Yes.
important to figure out what your version of success is. And I think it's okay that success evolves. And I think that's why sometimes we don't bet on ourselves, because we're
Mhm.
so worried about the future and well, if I kind of go all in on this and it doesn't work in the future, how
Yeah.
will I deal with that in the future? And I always tell people, well, what if it does work in the
Yeah.
future?
Yeah.
Right. And so I just think we have this weird relationship with success, and I think it's okay to be loud and proud about it. I think
Mhm.
that's a really big fear that women have too, is if I put myself out there and I say I'm going to do this thing, does it look like I'm, kind of pumping my own tires and
Yeah.
I'm kind of all into myself? Listen, there is nothing, and I don't know if you can relate to this. I
Yeah.
suspect getting to know you, you feel the same way, but there's nothing more awkward than posting pictures about yourself on the internet to promote your
Yes.
brand and be like, look how smart I
Yes.
am. Look
Yes.
how, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, there's so much value that comes from it too. And it might feel awkward, but it's awkward because it's uncomfortable, because it's
Mhm.
new, not because it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's unfamiliar, but I get so much positive feedback when I share little nuggets of wisdom, or when I
Mhm.
put up those clips where I'm like, oh God, Marissa, this is so awkward. Or even when you're doing, forget posting them, just
Yes.
doing the photo shoots, I sweat in
Yeah.
all the places,
Yeah.
right? Because this is not
Yeah.
normal.
Yes.
Um, but I think, just to answer your real question on
Yeah.
success, yes, I think we need to, number one, define what our version of success is. What is success today? Accept that it's going to evolve. Lean into it. Give yourself permission to go for it, no matter what happens.
Mhm.
Just because something doesn't work out, it doesn't mean you didn't find success somewhere else. Maybe what you were after is maybe not what you got. Maybe you got a different version of success. And there's lots of room for all of us to be successful because we all have different definitions of it. We're
Yeah.
not fighting for the same thing. We're not fighting for the same space or titles or like there is room for everybody. So yeah, I try to create that picture for people to really remind them that this is about them and nobody else. And they're in a
Mhm.
race and a competition with themselves and nobody else. And there's lots of room for everybody to win.
Yeah, I think that's so beautiful, and I saw that in action. Like, that's what you were able to impart in that room, was the fact that there is so much spaciousness at the top of what we define success to be, and just that flexibility that it can be what we want it to be, and that's enough, and that's something. And, a concept that we talked about when we were at that event was this notion that, like, women at the top are collaborating and people at the
Mm.
bottom are competing against each other. Right? Because when you go into those rooms and you see women that are like authentic and living into what their definition of success is, they want to help other people. Like, they want to help with the introductions. They want to help bridge opportunities, especially for people that are new to this, whether it be entrepreneurship or whatever kind of area that they're focusing on. And so often when I'm chatting with folks and, they say, oh, it feels so competitive, it's just like, we're not quite yet in the right room. Because when you get into the right room, the people around you are going to want to see you succeed.
It's so true. I have gotten, yes, more joy, more fulfillment, but also more business ROI from
Yeah.
supporting others in their journeys and that ultimately coming back to me in some shape or form
Yeah.
than I have by like keeping it all to myself, right?
Absolutely.
Never have I regretted giving it all away and
Yeah.
never have I not seen it come back to me. And not that I'm keeping tabs, right? Or
Mhm.
keeping score, but you see it. You see how giving it away comes back to you. Now, sometimes, not everyone catches on, but I do
Yeah.
think most people do, right?
Yeah.
They figure out that giving it away, it'll come back to you and no one can really replicate you and your journey and what you're
Mhm.
after. So, yeah, I don't think it's overly competitive
Yes.
when you find success. I think it's just you accepting that you're there and it's more a competition with yourself than with anyone else.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, Marissa, I'm curious, when you are, thinking about these big ideas and you're trying to make a decision. So let's say somebody who's listening is just like, oh, I'm in that very kind of traditional role of whatever that looks like, occupational, and I would love to be able to bet on myself. I would love to
Mm.
be able to, put myself out there. Is there a process or a decision-making tree you use, or is there any type of a strategy that you use when you're supporting people with making big decisions or taking risks or betting on themselves that you've seen has, worked out well for people?
It's a great question because I do work with clients who want to make big, bold moves,
Yeah.
right? Some of them want to make career moves from one big career to the next, or they want to advance in the careers that they're in. Some of them really want to leave the corporate world
Yes.
and do their own thing and kind of want maybe the roadmap that I followed, which by the way, I didn't. This was very, yes, mapping it out, but also based on my gut, what I thought, leveraging my experience. But when I work with my clients on this, we do a lot of work on figuring out the why, right? And I know we hear this all the time, but
Yeah.
why are you really doing this? What do you really want? But also understand what's stopping you. Because I do think the problem that a lot of us face and the reason why more people don't, we'll say, follow their dreams or bet on themselves is because we're so caught up in trading kind of current joy and happiness for future security.
Mhm.
And as someone who has spent the last 20 plus years in the wealth and finance industry, I know a lot about money. I know a lot
Yeah.
about, I was an executive. I understand pensions and
Yes.
compensation. I know all too well the real meaning of golden handcuffs and how
Yeah.
they make it really hard for you to walk away and what people are actually betting is. And I would never give someone the advice to say, just bet on yourself, go all in, and we'll all
Yeah.
work out. No. We need a plan.
Yeah.
We need to kind of work through why you're doing this and also understanding what's holding you back from it. And
Mhm.
I would say 99% of the time, there's a huge money component.
Yes.
It's not, I don't think I can do it. It's not, I don't think I can succeed. It's, well, I'm afraid, right? I'm afraid about the money piece, or what am I walking away from?
Yeah.
I think people forget that they can always go back to the corporate world. You can
Yes.
always go back to
Yeah.
a job. Again, I think we
Yeah.
make these big decisions like thinking 10 years out, when I'm like, well, what if this is just what you need for the next 2 years?
Yeah.
And then what about in 2 years, you go back into the corporate world because that's what you need in 2 years from now?
Yeah.
Like there's so much flexibility these days to do what makes sense. But I think we're making decisions based on the future. We're making decisions based on pensions that are going to pay out potentially in the future. Now,
Yeah.
we live in a time that I think people forget that pensions are not necessarily a
Yeah.
guaranteed thing for some people, but yet we hold on so tightly to them.
Yeah.
So back to your question, but specifically, I really work on why is someone doing
Why?
this?
Mhm.
I also want to understand what's stopping them from doing this. And then we try to work on those things. I also try to help that individual build community pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Who can you talk to that's been through this? Who's gone through? So how can we shorten your learning curve? I think a lot of people do this in isolation, thinking, well, if it doesn't work out, then no one will even know that I tried and it's okay. Or they started as a side hustle. Like it's not really that important to me. It's not that, so if I fail, again, no one will judge me. But I think you need to have kind of your personal board of directors,
Mhm.
people who have kind of gone before you, people who can help advise you, people who can help tee you up. And I also think some strategy around, realistically, what does this look like and how can I make this work financially? Because that's what it's going to come down to as well,
Yeah.
right? Like you can't pay
Yeah.
your bills with good intentions,
Good.
and
Yes. Yeah.
like you can't, rainbows and unicorns aren't going to
Yeah.
cut it, right? Following
Yeah.
your dreams, unless, so you need to, do you have a partner here? Are you doing this on your own? Do you have a business partner? Do you have a life partner? What's the new plan to make this happen? And then let's get you well equipped, and figure out a staged business plan to get you to that point.
Yeah, that's such great information and such wise counsel. And you're absolutely right. That piece that thread that I'd love to pull is that idea about these could be like temporary ideas and these
Yes.
aren't permanent decisions, right? That notion that like similarly, like as you're leaving an organization, an institution, whatever that might be, walking away from your book of business, that doesn't mean that you will never be able to go back if you chose to. And that doesn't mean you failed. It means that
Right.
you took a risk and tried something else and you realized, no, I actually like the security. And, I've spoken to many entrepreneurs who entertained and were very successful in their entrepreneurship, whatever that looked like, and then decided by choice, no, actually, I want to go back to the 9 to 4 or
Yes.
whatever that might be. And the fact that they were able to explore, they were able to try it out and realize, okay, there was advantages for sure, but there are also parts of this structure and security and being able to literally sign off at the end of the day and not worry about other things
Yes.
that they wanted that. But again, they were able to explore. They had that curiosity and it wasn't deemed a failure for them going back. And I often talk, I know with my own kids about this idea, like, especially when they're, I have a senior in high school and, people are asking them these big questions, like, what would you like to do like for the rest of your
Yeah.
life? And I'm like,
Pick
wow,
one
how about
thing
we
and stick to it. Yeah.
absolutely. And I'm just like, okay, let's talk about some like temporary ideas, not
Yeah.
permanent ideas, right? And the analogy we use often in our house is, this is poker, it is not chess. We do not have perfect
Right.
knowledge. There isn't some correct path that you have to take that's going to get you to your, this actual place of, this is what your success looks like. Let's just kind of play the hand we're dealt, see how things go, and like enjoy it. And right now, I just think there's so much pressure speaking about your future forecasting that like we're supposed to have everything figured out. Like part of it is figuring it out. Like that's the part where I
Yes.
think can really give people good energy and just really encouragement, especially when things do get a wee bit tricky.
I just think we should put the words right now at the end of some of these
Yes.
questions we ask
Yes.
ourselves. Like, what do I want right now?
Yeah.
It is so hard to foresee what life is going to throw at you in the future,
Mhm.
that to make such long-term, you don't want to make drastic decisions today that will affect your future,
Yes.
so negatively, but you have to also put a little bit of faith in your future self. I just think we're trading so much of our current joy and our current fulfillment for future potential security, but also to satisfy optics. I
Yes.
know you've talked about this before.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what will people think if I go do this thing? What will people think if people say to me, oh, aren't you so glad you left the corporate world and you're done with that? I said, I've never said I was done with the corporate
Yeah.
world. I haven't sworn it off and
Yeah.
vowed I would never go back. Like those words never came out of my mouth. This
Yeah.
is just what I wanted to do right now. This is just how it worked out today. And it suits my life and my needs
Yeah.
today. who knows what the future looks like?
Mhm.
I just think we need to move past that. We're all going to have one career,
Yeah.
one job. Once you stick with something, that's what because you want to be a person of your word, and you want to be loyal to X, Y, or Z. And I just think if you thought in like 2-year chunks instead of 10 or
Yes.
20, if you find something today that you want to do today and you're really good at it, I have no doubt that will tee you up for the next thing that you're going to be really good at.
Yeah.
Or if it doesn't work out, then at least you've eliminated this thing from your mind that allows you to refocus and go find something else. So I 100% agree with you. I love the analogy of poker, not chess, because I
Yeah.
think we just get too caught up. We cannot control for all the variables that life is going to throw at us. So we
Yeah.
need to live and do what makes sense for today, and then trust our future self to handle tomorrow.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, and even how you said trust your future self. It's like,
Yeah.
again, especially I find for women, it's so important that we remind ourselves how well resourced we are, and that we always find a way to figure it out, right?
Yes.
Again, it's like if leave any, I'm sure you've seen that kind of joke, that meme on the internet where it's like, if you need something solved, just like send two women out on a walk, like because they're going to come back with solutions. Again, it's like that's what we do. We figure things out. We bounce ideas back and forth, and we talk about this idea about how important it is that we have that like trusted circle of like
Mhm.
people that you can go to, whether it be a coach, whether it be, a therapist, whether it be a friend, a neighbor, like making sure that we have those like trusted allies in our corner that, that are going to give you that sense of encouragement and that sense of, I see you figuring it out because, so often I know in my own career, people have said, like, oh, wow, Robin, you're really brave to leave the university. And again, similar in your story where people are like, "Oh, aren't you glad you're, burnt that bridge?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know if I burnt that bridge per
Right.
se. Like maybe I will go back to teaching in a, a traditional setting someday, but I wanted the flexibility of this now for where my family is." And anyway, but that notion that, when you put the right people around you, that, they say back to me, they're like, "Oh, well, it was easy for you to do it because you're really brave." And I'm like, I am sorry if I ever gave you the illusion that I am brave, because let me
You're
tell
like,
you,
"I
if
am?"
someone's I am cool. I'm glad that's how I'm perceived.
Yeah.
But it was trusting the fact that I knew I could figure things out. So it wasn't a character or a virtue of being brave and courageous. It was trusting that, again, that we are well resourced and there are people out there
Mhm.
who want to help and help us figure this out.
Yeah, I mean, I've told this story so many times, but I used to carry I mean, I still carry a big purse, but I used to
Yeah.
carry a bigger purse.
Figure one. Yeah.
And, almost like a large duffel size purse that you
Yeah.
could put a human body in probably. But I used to carry this big purse, and I would have everything in there for every possible scenario that could come up,
Yes.
right? Like snacks in case someone gets hungry,
Yep.
Band-Aids in case someone's bleeding out.
Yeah.
Used to carry like a little pill bottle that had every type
Yeah.
of like Advil, I have it.
Oh,
Tylenol,
yes.
I have it.
I'm your
And
woman.
that's
Yes,
it,
I'm
right?
your
So
woman. Yeah.
every scenario, and it was just like, carrying this purse around, it was such a pain. It was hard on my
Yeah.
shoulders, hard on my back, and it was my husband, and I give him credit. He says to me one day, he's like, "Why don't you just deal with the thing when it happens? Like, why don't you just
Yeah.
figure out, oh, when you have kids, it's even worse. You got change of
Yeah.
clothes, you got
That's
diapers, you
right.
got wipes,
Yeah.
and so he's like, well, why don't you just deal with the thing when it happens?
Yeah.
Because, you are competent enough to deal with it in the moment. And this is like this aha moment that I have that I'm constantly trying to share with people, that it's like your future self can handle it. You
Yes.
have to trust your future self that you're not going to panic and curl into the fetal position and give up when you don't have, tissues or a snack in that
Yeah.
moment. You will figure it out. And I think, it's like with our careers as it is with our lives, just trust that you, to your point, are well resourced. And if you can't figure it out, you know what else women are really good at?
Mm.
Asking other people to help. So
100%.
it's sometimes some of us
Yeah.
struggle, but this is where you're just not alone in this thing that's going to happen in the future. You can handle whatever is going to happen.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. And and I also echo the sentiment with your husband about like deal with it in the moment, which is just
Yeah.
such great advice. And I am still the mama who travels with like I have like a pencil case in my bag to the point where it goes to other bags that I carry. And in it, I kid you not, I literally have Kleenex, I have Band-Aids, I have
Mm.
Advil, I have a fork because if you are a keynote speaker, somebody who travels a lot for work, now that they don't give utensils and takeaway,
Right.
I literally have now I travel now with a recyclable fork. Like it's literally like a washable plastic fork thing. Because I can't even tell you how many times I've used it. Trying to eat like a Greek salad in a hotel room with like coffee sticks is not easy. So so I am that one that I want to be prepared,
I love
right?
it.
But
Yeah.
again, I love that I've simplified it. right?
Yes.
Instead of having it in every one of the bags that I possibly could be using, I've simplified it into like one little pencil case and it comes with me. And it's interesting, just when you were saying about like having a tissue, I laughed because Hunter and I were at the National Bank Open for tennis. It was one of the sports on
So
our
fun.
want to check out. And just for our listeners, we both have a hunter. I have a 21-year-old hunter, and Marissa has
I
a
have a
hunter as well, a
yeah.
daughter.
Mhm.
And Hunter and I were at the sporting event, and there were these 4 women behind us, and they were in Hunter's age group, like
Mm.
I'd say 20s ish. And, they were all dolled up for this game and they were having the best time. All the selfies, all the pictures were happening. Like, and
Mhm.
Hunter and I were just like, I'm like, I am so happy for these young women just having a great go. Anyway, the one woman, she spilt her drink and like it was literally like panic. And I like grabbed my pencil case and I pulled out the Kleenex and I'm like helping her. And I had my Tide Stain and Go little pen that I
Yes,
had in there.
I love
And
it.
then the one woman said to and again, younger women, the one woman said to her, she goes, when I grow up, that's the kind of woman I want to be. I want to be the woman sitting there at the, National Bank tennis with like all of the things. And I was like, yes, sister, you will be that woman because
Yes.
it feels really good to be competent. Like it feels good
Yeah,
to feel resourced. But I just thought that was really sweet that when she grew up, she wanted to be a woman who had a Kleenex to help somebody who spilled their White Claw. So, yeah.
I get it. I
Yeah.
totally get it.
Yeah, I think that's so good. Now,
I
I
love
could
that.
again, Marissa, I could talk to you for days. Like, you are somebody who I would be like, "Please let me sit beside you on an airplane," because we are so many things I could talk to you about.
What if I,
But
like,
I am
fall asleep on your shoulder?
Thank you, thank you. But I'm respectful of your time, and as we start to kind of bring this to a close, the question, an activity that we like to do on Resiliency Redefined is we call the Wellness Relay, which the previous guest leaves a question. So inspired, similar to what Stephen Bartlett does on the Diary of a CEO, where a guest just leaves a question, and the next guest is invited to answer the question and to continue the tradition. And I have to tell you, when this question was posed, I got so excited because I knew you and I were recording next. The other guest didn't know who it was, but I knew who it was. So I'm excited to ask you the question that a guest left for you. Is that okay if we do that now?
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
So the question that was left for you is this: what is a thing that scared you, but you said yes to anyway? And what was the outcome? So what was something that like maybe you were scared at first about, but you said yes to it? And then what was the outcome?
I mean, just one thing? We're just
Oh,
gonna
I know,
narrow it
I know.
down
That's
to
why I was like,
one
well, it's
thing.
gonna there's so many things that she could probably riff off this. Whatever you like, there's no pressure.
Honestly, I it was betting on myself
Yeah,
to launch this business. Like, I was ready long before I told the world.
I love that.
I was, but I was like, "Oh, a few more tweaks to the website. Oh, I
Yes.
probably need this to get this brochure done," which, by the way, I have not used once. Um, but I think it was just reconciling this idea of going on my own, starting my own company, and just waiting for the audience of my
Mhm.
life to
Yeah,
watch and judge as I and just to see how people would react to it. And it was terrifying because this is real life. Like, I
yeah,
have bills to pay,
yes,
we have a mortgage, we have two
yeah.
small kids. My husband had just kind of launched his own thing. True story, when we told our kids that, mommy was going to be doing their own company, my 12-year-old daughter starts to cry. Oh no, now two of my parents don't have jobs.
Oh,
She starts bawling. She's like, "Are we going to be okay?" And I'm like,
aw.
"I think so."
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's terrifying because this is real life, right?
yes,
And as much as I know that I can go get a job tomorrow or whatever, this was me kind of seeing if I am who I think I am and I can do. So it was really scary
yeah.
in that regard. But I'll tell you, the feedback that I got when I went live
Mhm.
was like a live living eulogy. It was,
Mm.
people, the messages I received from people confirming that I was right where I needed to
Yeah,
be, that I was doing exactly what they felt I should have been doing. The people who actually didn't just send words of encouragement, who shared and liked and forwarded and
yep,
promoted and said my name in rooms that I wasn't in and referred
yes.
me. I can't tell you what a validation it was of 20 years of building relationships and fostering strong communities and networks of people and just trying to treat others well. And it just, all that just came back to me in such a big way. So it was terrifying, but it was even more rewarding. And I was not anticipating how that
Yeah.
would feel, how good that would
Wow.
feel, and how that would fuel ultimately the success that I'm having. The success that I'm having today is 100% the result of 20 plus years of fostering great relationships, pouring into others, trying to be the best I can be and trying to take people with me, and people deciding that they want to get behind me. This is not my hard work. This is
Mm.
our collective hard work. And I'm super grateful.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. That's so beautiful, and I love how you captured that tension between this is scary, and what I love is that just like on the other side of it, it was like you step into your greatness, and it just all of a sudden there was this ease in terms of that free flowing of information, that feedback of people that are letting you know, like this is what you're meant to be doing right now, and how again a permission slip for other people to bet on themselves and take new opportunities. So thank you so much for sharing that. And my secret wish is I hope your daughter sitting there is getting that message loud and clear that like, wow, look what happens when mom bets on herself and what that's afforded your family in terms of your time, your just that freedom for you to pick, and as you said, the gift of choice that you choose to work with who you want to work with and how you do the work. And I just celebrate that for you, and also that example that you're setting for your children. Like I think it's really significant that our children see that there are other models than just going from A to B plus C and then D is then you're happy. I sometimes say ABC and then you're dead, right? If you're not
Yeah.
careful and like slow down
Yeah.
and be able to see the all the possibilities. So thank you for setting that example for your family, for us and other people. So I appreciate that on such a deep level.
Thank you. Listen, I tell people all the time that betting on yourself, it's not easier, but it's better,
Yeah. That
right? Where you end up, you're going to probably work more. You're probably,
yes.
it's going to be harder. It's going to be different, but it will be better. And that is always the win in the end, is that this will be a better life, but it's not necessarily going to be easier. It'll have elements that will get easier and you'll get to a better place, but it's still lots of hard work. But at least, and this thing I've seen floating around the internet recently, and you've probably seen it too, this idea of, what a gift it is to be able to be exhausted or
Yeah.
stressed or tired,
Yeah.
doing the work you choose to do
Yes.
and chasing dreams you choose to chase. And that's kind of where I'm at and where I would love everyone to be.
Yeah.
And if that's a corporate job that fulfills you in that way, and you bet on yourself by expanding and being the best
Mhm.
version of yourself in a corporate role, yes, like this isn't an attack on corporate America or Canada or
Exactly.
the corporate world. This is not an attack, but if you feel held back and you want to do something else, there is a whole other possibility and a world out there that you absolutely can step into.
Yeah. Oh, that's so well said. So thank you, my
Thank
friend. And
you.
if you happen to have a question you would love to leave for the next guest, please feel free to do so. I also like to add the caveat that sometimes people like text it to me after because they're like,
Oh,
Robin, I
okay.
wanted a good, juicy question and I couldn't think of it on the spot. So there's no pressure. If you happen to have a question, we will pass it forward. I loved your response on that. And that's why I was so excited that when I knew you'd be answering that question. And again, for the work that you do. And again, I love that you hold both these possibilities of, finding your greatness within the structure that you're working in, being open and brave to find your greatness in a structure that you create. And again, just that idea of trusting that you're able to do it. So thank you for being such a beautiful, shining
Thank
example.
you.
Folks, in the show notes, we'll make sure to put lots of information on how you can connect listen to the podcast, Teeter Talks. It's a joy to listen to that podcast. And at the end of the day, when it comes to that coaching piece, like these are the type of people you want to be with in community. And I always remind folks, I'm like, hey, like Olympians have a coach, I'd look at, Tom Brady had a quarterback coach. Like even
Yeah.
people at the top of their game have a coach. And just imagine like you could be coached by someone like Marissa. Like we're here cheering you on. So please be sure to check out her details. We'll put that in the show notes. And thanks for listening. And we look forward to having you tune in next time. And again, Marissa, thanks for spending time with us today on Resiliency Redefined.
Thank you so much for having me.
thank you for spending time with this podcast episode today. I hope you found something helpful in Resiliency Redefined. Please feel free to share it with somebody who you might think could benefit. Maybe there was something useful, something in particular that you think you could pay forward. Also, if you have a moment, please feel free to rate and review this podcast wherever you like to listen to your podcast. It means the world to me. And again, thanks for your time. Thank you for your interest. Take good care, and I'll see you next time.